Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, everybody, and thank you for listening to 2013 and Beyond with Jeremy McDonald and Rashmi Khilnani. How are you doing, Rashmi?
Hi, Jeremy. A big hello from London, where it's quite cold now, and we've got this wintry thing happening. And we skipped a month. I think we were all going through all these intense changes, and so it's wonderful to welcome our listeners and back to our show. And today we're going to talk about the energies of being the wounded healer as we continue our wonderful ascension process, and also do a bit of channeling, etc. So, the energy is just so intense now with the solar flares and the gates and 1111 and the comet Ison, which is isness is on, which is the beingness is on, which is the Isis energy within us. So how are you feeling with all of that now, Jeremy?
It's been interesting. I know other people are getting affected by it more than I am, but I've just been spending a lot of time just being quiet. I mean, of course I have things I have to do on the daily basis, but I spend a lot of time just being quiet because I've just been a lot of information's just been coming to me, and I just been writing it down. I found if I write down what's coming to me, that it doesn't become clutter in my mind, I guess is the best way to put it. So whatever the spirit's channeling through me or bringing through me, I'm able to write it down, and then when I need it, I'll come back and I'll look at it. So
That's a wonderful way to integrate this current energy is through being creative and definitely through being quiet, because what many of us forerunners are finding is that it's almost been impossible last month to do any radio shows. So several got cancelled or different things happened because the truth is there was nothing to talk about. We all needed very much to go within and to be quiet and to integrate and to just feel the energies as opposed to even talking about them or, like writing, painting. I'm doing a lot of painting now and art and being with art and just being with nature. So that's pretty on cue.
I think that's amazing. I think that we should send Justin over with you and you guys can paint together.
Well, I may land up in Florida actually. So I always never know the temperatures. I never know the temperatures in centigrade. And I was thinking, if Justin and I got together, oh my God, we'd get into this, this creative explosion, I think.
Yeah, he's actually
divine play. All your cartoons on Facebook are so cute, and that's also where the energy is at now. This energy of the divine child merging with the wounded child within each and every one of us, and this alchemy of raising the octaves no matter what life is throwing at us. I've been through a lot of challenge here in the hotel suddenly, which has been my home for 2 or 3 years on and off, and I lead a very moment-to-moment life, and it takes a lot of courage to lead the life I'm choosing. But the other day I asked for full and complete to change my role, because I'm cosmic wind in the Mayan cosmology, which means I bring the presence of Source through my presence. I endure in order to communicate, and my power comes through the death of the past. Now, I've asked for that to be shifted now, and for me to be holding frequency and not teaching and writing books, etc., through enduring and suffering, or in that sense, because this bridging now for me between 3 and 5th feels like it's shifting again, and it's time for me just to hold this frequency of I align my will with my highest will, which is that will of my intentionality being in impeccability and love as best as is possible, moment to moment, and clearing whatever the blocks are within myself and for others, but beginning with the self, for this alchemy. And as a result, oh my God, it was like a 8% or something in the matrix energies. And when we speak, when we write, we get into this energy that it's based on language and the matrika or something, which is this matrix energy. And there's nothing wrong with it. And, we will always be human as well. So I would like our listeners, to feel what I'm saying rather than get literal and intellectual and clever with it with the mind, because then it's just chasing your tail, and that's not going to get us anywhere. This is to be felt, what I'm sharing, and not everybody's journey is the same journey. Not everybody's time is the same time, and not everybody has to now come up with a comparative in their mind or on the show or whatever with a parallel story that matches this or competes with this, because that's not where it's at anymore. Jeremy's in his process, Rashmi's in her process, and everybody's in their process, and then we're in this collective process of ascension together, even the ones of us that we feel are asleep. And then again, this comparison of who's sleeping more and less, it doesn't mean anything. So when I asked for that intentionality, suddenly this home, which is, it's always moment to moment for me, and I'm very good at being brave and jumping. But I had like this little mouse, come and say hello to me over a month, a few times, almost where it jumped on the bed almost. And I, not getting the hotel's response on various things. And anyway, the whole journey was that now I'm literally going into the absolute unknown, not knowing what my next assignment is, not knowing anything about anything, and being homeless on the 3D levels to a point of totality. That doesn't mean I'm going to land on the street, but it just means that it's, for my level of human side, the way I've lived my life, this is big. And yet, having the courage to deal with that, go through it, be here, be in the moment, and my higher self knows the whole story, but it's just, beginning to now really transmute, and that doesn't mean making the personality and the ego bad. They have their roles for each and every one of us, and to interface in this world, we have these things. It's not like I'm suddenly going to go up in a puff of smoke, or become a yogi that sleeps under the sand and breathes under, being buried alive or something. It's not like that, because that's not my role in this world. My role is to walk the path and be grounded and be an urban shaman warrior, whatever you want to call it, at the same time. But, it's really becoming this frequency, because I'm having to live it literally, having people, tell lies, turn things around, which brings up past life issues for each of us as wounded healers, which we all are, which are, when we were burned on the stake for speaking our truth, because even when we're not saying anything, people feel the frequency, and it's not a frequency people can live around that long, and it shifts everything, the building you're in, the people you're with, and so it's just about holding that and still having compassion for everybody, including the people that are betraying us, as Jesus had for Judas, and forgave everything and everybody, but at the same time, moment to moment, saying no, or not just being nice to just, please everybody and all the rest of it. Does that make sense, Jeremy?
It does, and I actually, it does make sense with everything that's going on, and I think it's interesting though. There's just, I think in some ways we're going through on a consciousness level something similar. Well, not in comparison, but just like the consciousness is going through this whole
energetic,
and so it's like my whole mission over the last probably year and a half has been about faith. And the only way I can use to describe it is like I jumped off of this is the best way. I jumped off a cliff, and these little lily pads or leaves are falling with me, and I jump from one to the next, and I just always know there's going to be a leaf or a lily pad right there to catch me, I guess is the best way to describe it.
That's beautiful.
So, and
that's beautiful.
When you know it's
and that is that energy of trust, isn't it? It's this trust piece that no matter how powerful we are spiritually, and the work we've done, and no matter how many cliffs we've jumped, there's still little aspects of that coming up for us. Even for the pioneers amongst us, which is this total trust, moment to moment jumping into that unknown energy, because that is the frequency beyond 3D reality, where we don't know, and we don't have to know, and it's okay to be vulnerable. I mean, the other day I had to do a radio show with Hilary Rameau, and again, there was a lot of drama happening just before the show, and, she suddenly said, we're talking about Comet Ison, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to channel this, and I channeled the goddess Isis. But, it turned out to be so powerful, even though I could actually only make it to the show 2 minutes before it started. And, it was just, this energy of being in the moment and trusting, and also being open to the fact that maybe I wasn't going to make that show and she was going to do it on her own, and that was okay too, because all we can do is our best. So guys out there, have compassion for yourself. Slow down, ground yourself, rest in this energy. It's extremely intense. It's coming at us from all sides. It's questioning all our comfort zones, and it's way beyond spiritual cliche now. Don't you find it is bringing us to very vulnerable spaces within ourselves, Jeremy? What do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely, because it takes you to it's funny, it's almost, the universe will take you just to that point and push just that, over that edge. And the point is just to stretch just that much, to stretch your limit. And it won't take you so far beyond that it's too much for you. It'll take you just close to it. And the reason being is because it's wanting to get you stronger in who you are. And a gentleman, Michael, just commented on the post here and said, he said, there's always a lily pad to catch me, faith, or hashtag faith. And absolutely, Michael, I'm right there with you. We actually have a comment here, a caller in, Rashmi, that's on hold here. Let's bring them on real quick. Hello from a 573 area code. How are you doing? We actually have a comment. Caller in. Hello?
Can't hear them.
Yeah, they must be away from the phone right now. All right, we'll put them on hold real quick, and then we'll come back to them a little bit later.
I just wanted to channel the goddess Durga for a moment. How does that feel for you? We're bringing in the energy of courage.
Absolutely. I'm there with you.
Okay, so we've got Durga. This is just symbolic of the goddess energy. She is the Indian goddess for courage, and she's always sits on a tiger, and it's a very powerful energy. So you can change it to any other denomination. It really doesn't matter. And within free will and the higher good, let's chant Om and go into that inner space and really slow down and connect to our breaths. Breathe in deep. From our hearts to the heart of Mother Earth, grounding, grounding, grounding. This high energy of love and heart. Breathe in deep. This sound connects you to silence, to everythingness, to nothingness, and to all that is. It is the primordial sound. It is the essence of reality, and also contains the essence of the void energy from which all reality springs forth. From the heart to the heart of the cosmos, connecting to the celestial energies while we're grounded. Breathe in deep. Feeling the expansion, allowing the expansion within groundedness. This is the key, allowing the expansion within groundedness. Now feel that expansion and become okay with it. Become okay for that jam jar within free will and the higher good. You don't have to do this. You can just feel it, or you can tune out if you like. Feel that jam jar shatter now, which is what we feel we are, because we are that expansion. Take a moment to feel that expansion. And then take a moment to feel oneself as, a human on planet Earth, looking at oneself from outer space, this teeny tiny dot moving around within a particular set of circumstances, with a nationality, with a name, in a body, as a gender, with various conditioning and role models in this lifetime, with imprints from past lives and the future multidimensional life and all the different time-space continuums. Just take a moment to feel that multidimensional space where all the different time-space continuums are converging into this point of attention plus intention, which be you, pure beingness within Om, grounded here on planet Earth, looking down at yourself as an astronaut from high space with these eyes that can go like laser right down to seeing your reality. So see that, and that's your jam jar. And if you wish now for expansion, if you wish now to come out of limitation, control, manipulation, competition, survival, into thriving, into flourishing, into the great adventure of being and becoming conscious co-creators, and expanding into a flow which provides moment to moment, not in a linear way, but moment to moment, things beyond our imaginings of the little mind. Then take a deep breath and let's chant the Om and feel that limitation jam jar shatter as we come into that more expanded version of our I am that I am presence. I am that I am, I am that I am, I am that I am. Tatsvamasi. Breathe in deep. And as you do that one more time, thank that self for what it was and what it did, if you're part of this process right now, and or to the extent that you would like to expand in a grounded fashion your reality into your multidimensional, unlimited potential of conscious co-creation here now. Breathe in deep, but be gentle now, thanking it as it leaves. Breathe in deep. And take a deep breath, and feel this new energy now. Maybe you see it as Pleiadian blue energy, maybe you see it as golden Syrian energy, maybe you see it as white gold Mahatma energy. Don't give it a name, just allow it, just be with it, swim in it, and enjoy your soul energy, your I am presence for a moment. But remember, you're grounded as well. You're bringing light, you're bringing heaven and earth together, you're bringing fire and water together. You're bringing all the sacred elements within and without you together. This is so powerful. With that fire, water, earth, air, ether, you can be and create anything. But now, the new frequency will only tolerate and support the energies of the highest good and free will. Thriving, seeing everyone as us and honoring all. So the goddess Durga blesses us. She fills us now with this energy of courage. Om, courage, Om. Om, courage, Om. Om, courage, Om. And take a moment now to feel your fear. Just imagine that there's a box in front of you, a nice, big, strong box. And imagine, you don't have to be too literal with this. Your attention plus intention within your I am presence, grounded here now, is extremely powerful, and the goddess loves you. So if you feel like it, and if you're ready, and I'm totally ready, I'm sure Jeremy is too, I'm putting all my fear right now into this box. This doesn't mean that, if I'm crossing the road, I'm not going to be careful, but this means that whatever is blocking me and has been fear in the past that is no longer relevant, I put into this black box and I give it to Durga. And she turns it to light. Om. 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 Shanti. 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 Peace within, peace without, deep peace to all people everywhere, deep peace to the animals, deep peace to the sacred elements, deep peace to the 4 directions, deep peace to the 6 directions, deep peace to all dimensions everywhere, deep peace to all our multidimensional aspects everywhere, deep peace to the void within us, deep peace to the nothingness within us. Take a moment now just to be quiet and integrate and ground. And breathe. And breathe. And be abundant in your breathing. With deep gratitude and great deep love to the goddess energy within and without, we thank this energy for courage in facing our fears and coming out the other side into more expanded versions, more joyous versions, and more cooperative, conscious, co-creating versions of ourselves within our free will, within our divine timing, if we so choose this. Om Shanti Om. So when Jeremy's ready, he can come back into this show and share anything he's felt.
Good stuff. Very good stuff.
Those are my
I felt a peace, a deep peace, just like you were saying, and relaxed.
And no mind.
Feel
no
your
mind.
soul.
Is your mind still there?
Yeah. Well, you feel like you even feel your soul breathing when you get really deep in. You can just hear this amazing, relaxing breath, and so it's a good space to be in. And it's good. It's a good place to be because we want you now. You're down in a place where your mind chatter is not chattering, and you're listening to the essence of who you are. So.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like I'm in my cosmic joy energy. I'm in my divine gesture energy suddenly. Because my mind was just going 1,000 miles per hour with 50 fears of what could next happen and this, that, and the other. And then you get into this energy, and it's just like so funny, the whole thing, because you've just gone through your fear, come out the other side, and seen that the mind is serious and it's going to latch on to all this. Hypothetical scenarios, which it will then create.
Well, and that's why it's so important to do this on a regular basis and connect to your soul, connect to your higher self, and have that convergence of the as above, so below come together, I guess is the way to put it. And when you have that, then your fears might still be there, but then you process them with a grace, and as opposed to you get caught, instead of getting caught up in the fears, which is what a lot of times happens.
And to be fearless does not mean not to have fear, because being humans here now, as divine as we might be, it's an instinct for the body, and whatever that body, however light that's becoming, it is still within, a body, some form of body. We're not like up there as light or something. Entirely in this realm. And so fearlessness doesn't mean not having fear. Fearlessness means facing fear after fear after fear after fear and coming through it. So don't beat yourselves up when you have fear, because if you said I have no fear, well then that's either complete denial, suppression and repression, which will lead to even worse problems, or it's it's delusional, isn't it? Because fear comes, and there's no need to beat ourselves up when it does. Yeah.
Well, and welcome it
to have
in
compassion.
Because it's a part of the experience of who you are, and I find when I get through it, I understand it. I'm like, wow, that was really cool to understand that, and understand that where I was coming from was so, you see the opening of your eyes and the release of the stress, and then you're like, wow, that was cool to experience letting that go. And
you get that
so
euphoric feeling. You get that, like when you went on that drive and you pushed yourself to negotiate those mountains on the drive, and that was the little fear that came up. The euphoria you must have felt when you completed that journey without turning back. It must have been massive.
Yeah. Well, it's
so
funny.
I'm seeing a picture of, I'm seeing a picture of like, I'm seeing a picture of like walls of where the jam jar is, where our limits are. Like this is my boundary. I can do that much, but I can't do that. And this is the unknown. Is that unknown part is not where I'll go, or I won't enter that dark room, or I can't, catch that flight, or whatever it might be. And I'm seeing the fear like these. Those are the boundary areas. And so when we face them and go through them, then I'm seeing like the whole thing expands to a much larger vista to play in.
Yeah. Well,
sorry,
the
Jeremy,
ego and its limitation. No, you're fine. You were in the moment, so that's perfect. What I find intriguing is that my ego, and all of our egos do this, it's that when you get to that line, it might not even feel like you're in your limitation, because the ego can be very it can be very cunning in the way it processes things. So
it's going to give you all the rationale why that's important not to cross it and so on, right?
Right. Well, and that's what I find interesting. Is like, it's funny because Justin and I started working out at the gym like 2 months ago, and both of us are just having fun. We're like, I'm like, you ready to go to the gym? And we're excited to go. And the reason, if we would have asked us a year ago, we would have came up with all kinds of excuses. So, I'm too busy, all that kind of stuff. It's too hard. Yeah. Or, I would have said, well, working out is just an illusion. And I need to be okay with my body the way it is. And it's so funny because now we go there and it's easy. I mean, I'm not going to say we don't go through the pain of the muscle, of working out, but we have so much joy going in there. Then I get to process on the inner world the emotional response. But what did we change? We went through our fears. We went through our excuses, found that when we got there, we had changed all that, transmuted all that. And now we're changing our bodies, not because we want to do it for anybody else other than ourselves. And so I think oftentimes if you want to do something but you keep on hitting that wall like in the jam jar, and you're not allowing yourself to experience something that could bring you a tremendous amount of joy, because we get caught up in this idea of the way things should be. And the should-bes are really our fears in some ways instead of our could-bes or could-haves, I guess is the better way to put it. And I think
or
this
allowing,
really is the path
allowing for the unknown, because that's where a lot of the magic is not knowing. The magic is really there, and the whole thing is that with the mind, it's just never going to get you to those places. And so beginning to discern, when is my mind energy kicking in and when is my heart energy kicking in, and how can I switch from one to the other? And when am I going to just allow my mind to ramble on because it's quite relevant? And when am I going to say, okay, thank you, mind, for all that information. I'll take it on board, but my intention is to come from a higher space, which is love, which is impeccability of my thought, word, and deed, which sounds very highfalutin and difficult. But just taking those little baby steps of discerning energy. Similarly, when information comes at us, it could come from some great spiritual teacher, but they could be totally in their mind, or vice versa. So saying, okay, where is this energy coming from? Not in too much of a mental way, but through the feeling body, through the intuition body. And if you don't have an intuition body, just through feeling or your gut or your instinct, or asking for your higher self to guide you on what is what. And staying with not knowing in the meanwhile, and not being too caught up in how those messages are going to come, which is all stuff that our listeners already know about, I think. But somehow we all slip up on this. What do you feel about that, Jeremy?
I agree, and I also think that's what the subject we're talking about is the path of the wounded healer. I think the wounded healer does make mistakes, and or the even mistakes or the opportunities are and then as a result of whatever they go through, they learn from life and then they gain wisdom, and that's how they teach, and that's how they heal, because they heal themselves first.
That's it. And in fact, when we hold that frequency, then there's less and less need for words and so on as well. That doesn't mean I'm knocking, our radio shows and all the writing we do and the teaching and so on. But, a lot of the work then happens in the silence, or, just through a picture on Facebook. I post a lot of my pictures. It's not an ego thing. It's more like that frequency of the smile and the face. It holds the frequency of all those cliffs I'm jumping moment to moment, of all the unknown I'm facing moment to moment. It carries that frequency, and for those who can feel that frequency, they will. It's a bit like a candle saying, "Okay, that candle's lit. I can light my candle now," And otherwise, if people don't want to, then that's fine too, because we can't force people or each other or our families. I'd like to talk about our families actually, because I think that's a big piece coming up within the wounded healer. As Chiron moves direct right now, because a lot of this wounding within families has come up in the last 1 month. So I'll let Jeremy go first on if he wants to say anything about that, or share something of his own life and wounding on that.
I think it's really interesting you should bring that up because, of course, I always thought that, I guess it was a story in my mind that my family was fairly well adjusted until my mother passed away, and then all these things from my childhood started surfacing, and I was like, and especially in the last month, so I'm glad you're bringing this up. Like all these things.
This is
from
happening
my family,
for everybody on the planet, by the way.
Yeah, it's happening for everybody on the planet. So, but my family is incredibly codependent, and so, and if you ever want to, that's why the should have and could have come up in my mind because my family was all the.
Jeremy?
I have my dad has three children other than me.
You're the only child, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm my mother's only child. And my dad's older.
You have half brothers and sisters.
Half brothers and sisters, yes.
Okay.
But, when it came down to my cousins and my grandparents and everything, several arguments are coming up from my childhood, and I'm looking at it. But it's part of the healing process because now I get to look, and I get to say forgive them, and forgive myself. Because we knew what we didn't know what we were doing. We were in that mind state, and we can let that go and forgive them. It's like the Four Agreements say, they did the best that they could with what they had. And
that's right.
With that being, and
it's also a lot of it sounds like it's the past rather than the present, or is that playing out even now? Are they still? Is this drama still playing out, or is it all past stuff?
Well,
or it's just a regurgitation, I suppose.
It's still there. I'm just not getting involved.
Yeah. So, see, our families may be going in a completely different direction. And I've just spent a month in Delhi about a month ago. And, I've worked for 30 years since my father was killed by our servant, and my mother was left for dead in Bombay, which was a huge thing. He was a very important man. And the guy was caught within 3 days, and I was able to forgive him. But since then, a lot of money was left, and it's a very powerful family, and my mother rings the Prime Minister if she has any problems, or the Prime Minister's office. It's that kind of family. And everybody's larger than life. And there's a lot of love in the family, but everybody's extremely, independent. And there's been a lot of unfairness around money and love and anger on top of taking everything. So this time I got really clear suddenly that, I always said, well, take everything and I'm on a spiritual path, but come to peace and let's all have dinner. And even though there's all this love and my brother and sister are twins, that never happens. I'm talking to everybody and they're not talking to each other, or they're talking to each other in different permutations. And I realized this time that, I just saw the whole picture as it was, and I realized, I don't need to do this anymore. After 30 years, I realized I don't need to say, take everything and all the rest of it. So I haven't said anything to anybody because no one's going to listen anyways. But within myself, I made the intention that I also have a share in my father's estate, and that I'm not going to fight or anything unless I'm guided, but that I hold that frequency now, and that I forgive them for wherever they're at, each of them, because I totally understand how they feel about stuff, and they are where they are, and I have no right to change them at all. And that at the end of the day, if they decide to cut me off because it's just too much, because it brings up their guilt, or it's too much of a light that they can't deal with, or they think I'm nuts because why isn't she chasing money, or whatever the reasons are, I'm going to be okay with that too. So, and finding somewhere within myself to find this compassion, whether it's the people in the hotel, some of them, we're just talking about one or two, really kind of what people would normally in a film call evil, which isn't evil, it's just the opposite of life. Having compassion that they're just doing a job and they're in a lot of fear, and that's why it is what it is. But it's not a patronizing type of thing that they're in a lot of fear and I'm in this high place. No, because at the root, what we do have to also balance is that ultimately everybody is equal, whether you're a baby soul or you're an ascended master of ascended masters. It's all one energy. And so on the highest level, it is all innocent and pure and okay. But again, bringing in that balance of moment to moment, sometimes we have to fight, sometimes we have to withdraw, sometimes we have to be quiet. And it's not a black and white situation. Does that make sense, Jeremy?
Absolutely.
It's a moment to moment. It requires full consciousness, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It does, and there's a lot of letting go. Well, on top of that, I think that's one of the key things: letting go, forgiveness.
Yeah.
And another lesson there is to allow people to be where they're at, and it's like you said, that's all one.
That's very important.
One energy. Because I just look at, I've really just been refining this, and I'm still learning it because I believe we're all learning it all throughout our life. So, in grace, I'm just seeing that I look at where people are at, and I think I'm going to let that go because, if I feel compelled to say something, if Spirit guides me to say something, that's fine. But then it'll come out of me with grace. But if I say it just because my ego says you need to go in there and say something, then it's probably not going to come out with grace. And so it's interesting because when we just are in this flow, I was just reading text the other day that said we live within the liquid universe, and if you live in the liquid universe, you'll feel that grace, that fluid light. So when it comes to our families. I've had, in some ways, I've just had to love them enough to let them go. And I've said a lot of Ho'oponopono
prayers.
And
that's not easy. That is not easy. This is my mother. She's 82, and I want to spend time with her because I have this sliver of time. I know in the next 2 years I'm going to be so busy, even within my not wanting to be busy and holding energy and being still and not doing anything. I have, this knowingness that it's going to, Shiva Speaks is coming out in January, February, and I God will come out at some point. And it's not just these things. It's, the whole thing is there's always more to do. But I just have to let her be and give her the choice of what she would like and not like. And it may be extremely against her own peace, and peace before she transits into the next world. I hope she lives to 150. She acts like a 45-year-old, and I feel like her great-grandmother sometimes. But, I just feel that much as I would like it to end well, and of course there's a lot of love, and there's been a lot of healing, and it's been a very strong family. When I take healers to heal my family, they need psychic surgery from me straight afterwards. That's how powerful my family is. And then I just realized, oh my God, I think they're dysfunctional, and that we're dysfunctional sometimes. But we're really, really, there's a lot of love and so on. But the truth is that it's not up to me because everybody's choosing their own path. And the funny thing is, as you shared just now, Jeremy, when we do let go and when we do allow people to make their mistakes or whatever they want to do or live their lives, what happens is eases our own suffering, doesn't it? It makes us to total, because suddenly we're free. We're free of the story because we were in a story, and Katie Byron talks about this, and it's a very powerful thing, from the Toltec teachings as well, which is moment to moment we can release our story and we can recreate a new story, which is what children do all the time. Yeah. And what I love to do from my divine child energy.
Absolutely.
Are you feeling like you're giving up your story?
I think I do it on a moment-to-moment basis, and sometimes I grasp onto that story. Because have you ever had that experience? I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you look back like a week later and you're like, "Ooh, I was really holding on to that story there." In that moment. But I think that's called. I call it a friend of mine and I call it the divine comedy. Because when you look back and see that's the giggling, and And most of the time it's so comic because everybody's serious and then tempers are flaring. My family, there's so much fire, and then everybody gets the fire energy out, and there's a whole big drama, and I could make such a smash hit Bollywood best-selling film out of this thing, and. It's just, but on the other hand, not to be so black and white that I went and this happened and now that's the end of it. No, I'm still open to my mother. I'm still compassionate to be there for her when she needs me within reason at any time. Because these are, at 82, I hope, but it's just the way it is because she still is my mother. And so, yes, I let go of the story, but on the other hand, I'm not just this detached, cold, spiritual person that, isn't there as a human within my relationship of somebody who brought me on earth.
Does that make sense?
It does, because
it's this balance. It's this balance.
Yeah. Well, and then the wounded healer is the one that looks at those, and like I've been in an experience for about a month now where I've had to really keep myself in check because I have people staying with me that I'm helping, but they're also helping me, and so I've had to make sure that I wasn't somebody.
Yeah, when we say we're helping somebody, it's always both ways, Usually.
Yeah, it's a complete flow because, I could put myself on that high horse and look down, but then I wouldn't get the flow of the liquid universe of the give and receive. And the truth is that I'm receiving just as much as I'm giving. And that's the other truth is that when we give, the greatest gift is that someone received it. Yes. It's actually a much greater gift that someone received than someone took. Does that make sense? Because it's like, we have so much to give. I mean, there's so much I would like to give my mother. But sometimes she can receive it, and she's very good from a distance of being my best, showcase of this person who leads this incredible life. But when I'm with her, sometimes she cannot receive a lot of the gifts of the heart that I have, or maybe even I sometimes might be missing, because sometimes maybe my human side might not be strong enough to be vulnerable enough. You know what I mean? Because I'm on this expansive thing, and I'm not saying that's all I am. I'm also extremely human. But, I might miss it from some side myself to receive sometimes. And so as we open up to receive, to be vulnerable, to say, okay, Jeremy's not just, not to be so distrusting that, okay, he's inviting me to Florida, what's going to happen? Is it going to be okay? But to say, okay, yes, I received that. Or, vice versa, you receive something. I think that's big, isn't it? It is big. It is big.
We've been taught not to do that. We've been taught to just be extremely suspicious and cautious, and there's no such thing as a free dinner,
Yeah. Well, and that's the truth, because it's hard for us to receive because we're so afraid of what's going to be expected of us, or whatever. Our mind chatter starts going, and so I had to ask for help within the last 3 or 4 months. I'm
glad you just brought that up, because I was just going to say we need to discuss this next, where some of us are so powerful, but I might need to go to India and say, I need you right now. You may think I'm this powerful person. You may think I'm this child of yours that will get through anything, and I do, and I did one since I was tiny. But right now I need a home. I need my family. I need some nurture, because the spiritual warriorship of, hotel to hotel to hotel to homelessness, it's getting to me. I just need a little replenishment of my roots before I go and create those further branches in America and across the globe. And then I think if I can have the courage to do something like that to a deeper level, I wonder, they would be, what do you feel? What do you feel would be the reaction to that? I mean, they would be just like, wow, she's changed, She's become human.
Because then that they realize that for what you came to them, and it's a great space to come from. I think they would receive it very well.
And it's empowerment for them. Then they are re-empowered, you see, because when we're on this thing where my sister, when she gets really upset and the sibling rivalry is in my face, she'll say, behind me they'll say all the best things, oh, she's amazing and she's this cosmic creature, and she manages to live this incredible life without having that much money. And but when I meet her, sometimes she says, she gets so angry, and then she'll say, well, you of course, you've got this expanded, understanding. Us lesser mortals don't have that. And if I can just say, well, I need you right now, and cry or whatever, which Hillary was saying in the last show. She said, Rashmi, I really love you because you've been able to share the mouse story. Because there they were saying, the metaphysical teacher and this, that, and the other. And I was laughing my head off because I was thinking, and she was scared of a mouse that came to say hello in her bed at this amazing hotel. It was hysterical,
Yeah. Well,
So you asked for help. What was it?
Well, I had to ask, because I was waiting. You know the story. I've been waiting for checks to come in, and back in August, I needed to find a home, and so because I hadn't had those checks come in, I needed the money to be able to pay for a place. So I asked my father.
Yeah.
And I don't like to ask for money, but I had, I have a successful father, and so I I'll just leave it at that. So, but I had to call him and ask him, and he actually taught me a really great lesson. It was very hard for me because I'm so used to be able to handle everything, and everything just comes in, and I'm always in that flow. And so I had to call him. So it was really the greatest lesson he taught me is that he said, "Let me think about it." And he took a couple days to think about it, and it was interesting because even though the amount of money I was asking for was fairly easy for him, he when he said, "Let me think about it," I stopped and thought about it, and I had to process how hard that was for me to ask and everything else. And so I've been able to pay that back, and so because the money then flowed in for me to be able to do that. And so these are those lily pads that you jump off one onto the other. And now I had to take a leap of faith to ask my father, and it actually made my relationship with him stronger because I was able to pay him back, discuss it with him, have a mature discussion with him, adult to adult. And then, of course, I've been working out, too. That's been a big subject for my dad because he's a health nut. And so what had happened as a result of this, I got to create a stronger relationship with my father. And everything turned out well. So I think what I wanted to share with everybody out there is that, sometimes you have to ask. And even some of the most successful people out there of what we would deem as the world third dimensional successful people have to ask for help because that's a part of the experience. And so it's okay to just ask, and so
that's the powerful part of your story. The powerful part of what you've just shared is not even that you paid back. The most powerful part of what you've just shared is that you asked, and that you made yourself vulnerable, and that you took a risk, and that you gave your dad a chance to give something, and you gave yourself a chance to receive something that was not in the realm of the previous Jamjo. And that's how the expansion happens. And, of course, it doesn't mean, that everybody goes out there literally and starts asking their parents for money. But, I have to put aside this whole financial issue, which is completely unfair within my family, for whatever the reasons are, and they all have their valid reasons within their own understanding of the situation, and still love them. I don't have to, but I choose to because I'm aligning my will, and now more and more, and now 100% with the deepest, greatest love of my I Am presence. And that means that I'm not interested in myself or in interaction just within free will of anything that is less than that for myself. And so, and I will forgive myself, and I will be gentle with myself when I don't reach that standard moment to moment, but that is the intention. And as a result, many, many more things are bursting in my face, and doors are shutting, and everything is coming to an end, boom, 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 and which has been my life all my life, but it's becoming more and more intense. But as a result, I'm getting more and more into the moment, which I already have been, and more into the magic of just the simple things, just every minute of, a glass of water, a friend, I got all these boyfriends, and I'm not going to go and stay with any of them. And it's not because I'm not humble enough to ask, but that's also not part of my soul energy's agenda right now. It's this funny thing of, it's something to do with either my family or it's to do with, being in the unknown and staying in it indefinitely and still being open to being there for my family or America or wherever the next, because I'm always like, God, give me my next mission. Give me the next place I can serve. Give me the next set of people I can help. Or give me time alone to give me my mission within myself. And sometimes, right now, Babaji is saying, my higher self is saying, it's happening because these last little areas where you're stuck, like, guilt around I must be perfect with mother. Those are all being shattered so that you're totally free, which you already are, but much, much more so. And then your mind will not bother you at all anymore with all of that stuff, because it'll just be spontaneous, moment to moment. You don't have to know what that's going to be. So we talk about moment to moment, but it's extremely challenging to practice that. But when we do, and more, we have to now. Because, when there's a fire happening or you're getting chucked out of a job, you get into the moment. It happens, boom, doesn't it?
Yep. I was just thinking about this quote that I read last night, and I was going to read it real quick because I think it's kind of along the same lines of what we're talking about. It says, having awakened a conscious relationship with the divine will, we are no longer subject to the tyranny of the lower thought forms or emotions. We have awakened the higher mind. And I just thought that was...
that just sums up my long little ramble there. Yes, exactly. So, guys, attention plus intention, your attention and intention. And this brings me to this wonderful man. His name is Matt Kahn, and he's American. He's on YouTube, guys. Please check him out. He's explaining how just having awareness and amazing spiritual experiences is not enough. The missing piece is this intentionality, because I notice time and again, and this is not judgment, it's just discernment, that many on the path do not match the thought with the word, with the deed at all times, or at least endeavor to do so. I'm not saying we always manage that, but it's like, this is my spiritual time and this is my time to bullshit as though, your higher self isn't watching. And it's okay if we do that sometimes, but as long as we know we're doing that. But he says, the total ascension process is to do with aligning the intention as well to the highest. And that's what this thy will be done means. And really now seeing that everything is within us. Teachers within us, the ascended masters are within us. It's all within us. So all this separation and hierarchy of dimensions and this teacher, that teacher, and all the rest of it, each and every one of us is being called to be impeccable within ourselves and to be gentle when we're not, and to have compassion for ourselves and others, because we're all going through this process together and individually. Are we not, Jeremy?
Absolutely. We definitely are.
Thank you for this show. And, how would you like to sum up now? We've got 7 minutes left of our show, guys. We're sending you a lot of love, light, and energy. And, Jeremy, would you like to share anything to wrap up now in the last 7 minutes that's important for the wounded healing? Yeah.
I just want to say, you've already mentioned it, Rashmi, but be gentle with yourself. Be good to yourself. Be happy with yourself. And even in your spaces of not being happy, rejoice within that as well, because it's really quite the incredible journey. And I know there's places where they can be very hard. Just go, and in those spaces, love yourself. Love yourself and allow yourself to be loved, and allow the universe to love you. And honestly, I don't care who you pray to. Just pray to love and acceptance and understanding and forgiveness, and accept all aspects of who you are. And that,
which is embracement.
To me, embracement. And that to me is where the wounded healer understands, because they've gone through all those depths of fear and anger, and they know when they surface
shadow.
again. Yeah. And so they become that balance. They become that as above, so below, so within, so without. They become that cosmic mind, that cosmic understanding, and because they know all things are. And even in their moments of pain and grief, they understand that. So I'll leave you guys with that, because I think that actually...
That's really beautiful. That's just really, really beautiful. And I would just like to add that, this piece of love which Jeremy's just shared, that at its essence is this energy of trust. And we can all pray and really make this bigger through baby steps, trusting ourselves. We can't have compassion for others unless we have compassion for ourselves. We can't love anybody or even receive love until we start really loving ourselves, even when we bungle up and we make a mistake or we get up and shout or whatever it is. It's okay, as long as we're looking at it and we're working on it. And the next time, we make a little slight adaptation, we'll be brought back into that frame again and again. The people's circumstances may change, but the frame or whatever it is, suppose I'm learning patience or acceptance, that will keep coming at me. And so if I've bungled up getting 10 on 10 the first time, it will come again. But I can just observe and rather than continue that unconscious behavior, and asking and praying for the unconscious and subconscious behavior to come up. And you taking whatever life throws at us and looking at the higher. From the highest perspective, the people in the hotel, I bless those few that have caused a problem for me to now leave. I bless them because they have freed me from my current mission, which is holding morphogenic energy on the Cromwell Road, which is the busiest road, taking everybody into the center of London, which in a way represents the center of this planet. I'm done with this now. I want somewhere else. And so they've made that possible. They've pushed me out of this current tiny little comfort zone that I was in. I wasn't in it for long. So on the higher perspective, it all serves. And so if we can just see, no matter what happened to me, what is the higher perspective on this, then alchemy happens. And the trust piece, How are you doing with trust, Jeremy?
Doing pretty good. I'm not going to say that the lessons don't come up, but I'm in a great space. It's funny because I was telling you just before the show started that the job I had ended, and when I got called up, it was very weird how it happened. That morning I was told at a meeting all the great things that are happening and all the great job I'm doing, and then 2 hours later I was pulled up into human resources and let go. And I thought to myself, this is a redo for me because 8 years beforehand something similar had happened. And I got very angry and I screamed at the person. And this time I looked at him and said, okay. I said, you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I walked out the door and I got a phone call from a headhunter asking me about another contract. And so I just want to share that with you. It doesn't matter what story you play. If you work the job story or you work this story, you work this story, you're where you need to be. And the universe is going to put you right where you need to be. And so, and it's funny because since then all these headhunters have been calling. I've also had clients start calling me for, healings and stuff. So it's like the door open. So I've also gotten plenty of time to get still. And so
I thank
the universe
Divine Mouse. I thank the Divine Mouse, because, and my friend Amravati, she said, Ganesha is so around you, Lord Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, son of Shiva. And she said, did you know that his totem animal is a mouse? And so I said, please. And then, we went into the whole thing. And she said, just see it as Mickey Mouse and bless it because it's going to, take you to your new place because you're a goddess in, incarnate now. This is what you're asking, to hold this very high frequency. So you're going to be shifted to a place where you can have more space to do your paintings or whatever, or maybe even a smaller space. It doesn't really matter. But thank that mouse, and it was absolutely head on. And so I went down and thanked the little team at the hotel. They were so shocked after all they'd done. I said, thank you so much for everything, and I bless you. And it's been a great journey together. And the French guy today said, what a big heart you've got, and Jeremy doing this, this is why that lesson came back at him. And this time, how amazing you must have felt, Jeremy, when you left, how empowered you must have felt that you didn't react negatively,
Absolutely.
that you accepted
Absolutely.
it and new doors opened one after another, all these headhunters. Amazing.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'm sure for the next show I'll have a good thing to share about what happens next on my journey. So lots of love to everybody, and especially to Jeremy as well.
Well, I just want to put out there, my website is www.jeremymcdonald.net, and Rashmi's is RashmiKhilnani.com. Have I got that right?
And Shiva Speaks is coming out in January 2014, so you guys can get it on Kindle and Nook right now, but it will come out as a proper book then. So it's a powerful energy. And Jeremy's book is Peace Be Still, which is also available across the internet and on his website. So thank you so much.
Okay.
And Jeremy, we'll stay in touch. And if you suddenly see me in Florida, is it sort of warmish at this time of year, or does one go around with a coat?
It's in the 60s, probably the 70s today. So good.
Do you wear a coat or anything?
I don't.
Okay.
No, we're doing good.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Blessings, everybody.
Take
Blessings
care.
to you,
Bye.
Rashmi.
Namaste. Namaste. Blessings. Bye.